Hey guys, how's it going? How's everybody doing? So yeah, I decided to start it like probably 4 or 5 minutes early, making sure everything's working. You guys can hear me all right? Yeah, there's a bit of a delay for those of you that are wondering. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well, Mr. Pink. So Wyatt, your first question, not sure of the proper term, but if I like comics that came after a TV show. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Nice seeing you all. Do I like comics? You know what? Bob's Burgers. I'm doing great. Thanks, guys. I love Bob's Burgers, but I haven't read the comics. I love Bob's Burgers, the TV show. I've been binging with that with my girlfriend lately, and we've been going through it and absolutely loving it. I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. So yeah, how this is gonna work? Just fire off a few questions for me. Could be anything. Could be related to comics. Could be relationship advice. Could be just about anything in life. Or if you just want to shoot the shit with me, we can do that as well. I know a lot of you guys have got a lot of comic related questions, so just throw them in the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But yeah, to answer your question, I am a huge fan of Bob's Burgers. I've never actually read the comics. Other stuff. Let me think. I've heard the Adventure Time comics are actually really good as well. Did I get a haircut? Yeah. I just took it to a razor. Just real quick. Dragon Ball Z. Who's been watching Dragon Ball Super? How great has Super been? I know a lot of people have been mocking it and saying, Super's not that great. I personally have been loving it a lot. What are your favorite DC Rebirth titles? I covered that last time. Right now, my favorite DC Rebirth titles are The Flash. Absolutely love The Flash right now for DC Rebirth. Tom King's Batman has been really impressive. I mean, what's really great about this is just how well Tom King is able to follow up Scott Snyder's run. Oh my gosh, great stuff, man. Really great stuff. Superman. Can we finally Superman gets a comic book after the New 52 that is great. He was floundering a lot in the New 52, and I love what they've been doing so far with his son. All that stuff has been really cool stuff. Do I have a current pull list? No, I actually don't. And the reason behind that is I have digital comics. I'm just pulling digital comics. It's a lot easier for me, so I don't have to make the drive every single time that I want to read something. Pull list. Not big on Dragon Ball. Really? Wow, I love Dragon. I guess I grew up on Dragon Ball, and I'm talking about Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, and I absolutely loved it. Do I like Battle Royale? Absolutely love Battle Royale. Classic movie. If you've never seen Battle Royale, think Hunger Games, but on steroids. Oh my goodness. Battle Royale is one of those movies that it's a fascinating concept, and it's really executed very well. The characters are pretty much expendable. That's the only thing. But it's Hunger Games before Hunger Games. Do I collect any single issues and trades? You got a haircut too? Nice, man. Yeah, I just take a razor to it, just real quick in the shower, just boom, 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 and it's done like that. Is the Batman New 52 connected to Rebirth? Should I read it before Rebirth? No, you could actually jump in, Jax, to Batman Rebirth without having any prior knowledge of New 52 Batman, and you should be perfectly fine. Rebirth is essentially one jumping on point for everything. It's great. It really is. If you have ever been curious about a character, pick up the Rebirth issues. It's really great stuff. Annihilation Omnibus reprint. There hasn't been any talk of an Annihilation Omnibus reprint, at least from what I have heard. I personally am dying to get my hands on the reprint. I can't wait because I am just a sucker for that stuff. I'm desperate. I really am desperate right now. Though there was actually no, I take it back. There was a few months ago, somebody sent a tweet out to somebody at Marvel, one of the higher ups, and the higher up replied with, "I've brought it up to the higher ups, the people on top of me at Marvel, and there's discussion of it. At least that's what I've heard. But it's one of those things where you take that stuff with a grain of salt. Doesn't mean you're actually gonna ever get it. Started watching anime recently with One Punch Man and Death Note. I've never seen One Punch Man. I've seen half of Death Note. I've seen half of it, and my girlfriend keeps getting on me about it. She says, you got to finish Death Note. You should read Death Note. Death Note is great. You should watch Death Note. Just finish Death Note. I'm currently trying to finish up so many different animes right now. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to finish Full Metal Alchemist, which is, oh my gosh. Let me see. Death Note is a really great start. Watch Full Metal Alchemist. Also, for those of you anime fans out there, I hope I'm not losing a lot of you guys, but watch Full Metal Alchemist. It's really, really good. Do I think the Preacher TV show does the comic book version justice? Here's the thing with the Preacher TV show. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me, what do I think about the Preacher TV show, considering Preacher is my favorite comic of all time. For those of you that didn't know, I absolutely adore Preacher. The TV show of Preacher it's interesting. In a way, it's kind of a prequel to the Preacher comic book. It sets up a lot of things that have already happened in the Preacher comic book by the time you start reading the Preacher comic book. And I like it, but I have my problems with it. I've watched up to like about the first 5 issues of not 5 issues, 5 episodes of Preacher. And for the most part, I enjoy it. I think it's pretty good, but I have my problems with it. I think that Jesse is a very weak version of what he is in the comics. I think that in the comics, Jesse is more sure of himself, and I really didn't like that aspect of the character in the TV show because it seems like Jesse's always holding back in the TV show, and I get what they're going for. They're always going for that sullen, quiet character, and it didn't work for me. Jesse is more sure of himself, and he's more of a badass in the comic books. And not to mention, the comic books move at a breakneck pace. You're just going boom, 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 boom. They spent the whole season in this podunk town. We didn't have to have that. They should not have spent the whole season in this town. I don't want to see that. I want to see the road trip that is the comic books. I want to see them go across the world, search for God, experiment, and do different things, and at the same time be an examination of religion. So, but overall, I think AMC did the best that they could with what they had. It is very watered down, Preacher, and it's very censored, but they do get away with a lot of really cool and interesting things. For example, I didn't think we'd get a Saint of Killers in the first season. I thought for sure they'd probably save that, or they just scrap the whole storyline. What I didn't like was the fact that they changed Jesse's father's origin. Jesse's father in the comic books is a Vietnam veteran, and that is a huge part of who Jesse becomes later on, and it's a huge arc in the story as you see how his father becomes the person who he is. He wasn't a reverend. I had issues with that. I thought that was just weak, and I thought that was just, it just did not work for me. Especially when Jesse's father says that the classic saying, you got to be one of the good guys because there's too many bad guys. It was just weak, and it didn't hit me the same way that it did in the comics. I think I do agree with you, Big Willie Style. I think Dominic Cooper is a great and inspired casting choice for Jesse, and I would have liked to have seen Walton Goggins take a crack at it as well. If you haven't seen Walton Goggins or you know who he is, he was in Justified. He played one of the main bad guys in there. I think he would have killed it. I think he would have done absolutely awesome. Hey, from Australia. How is Gotham Central? Gotham Central is awesome. I love Gotham Central. It's so, so, so good. If you've never read Gotham Central, it's really easy. You jump into it and you can pick it up and you don't need any prior experience. The thing with Gotham Central is that for those of you that have seen the Gotham TV show, all, I don't know, 10 of you in the chat, I personally have seen bits and pieces of the first season. Wasn't for me. Didn't care for it. And I kind of just brushed by it. But it's basically Gotham. It's basically a TV show Gotham, and it centers around the Gotham Central Police Department as you go around and they explore the different crimes involving Batman's rogues gallery. Really, really great premise. And Christmas, the character Christmas is one of my favorite characters in all the DC universe. Joe Gilgun. Okay, Joe Gilgun, back on the Preacher topic, because that seems to be the overall theme of what we're talking about tonight. Joe Gilgun as Cassidy is spot on. Absolutely spot on Cassidy. Now, they did some things with the character that I wasn't too crazy about, but for the most part, spot on Cassidy. Absolutely dead on. That is Cassidy 110%. Let's see, what else? Chris Claremont's X-Men run. I'm actually making my way through that for the first time. I'm really enjoying that a lot. Can I recommend good starting points for Moon Knight and Captain America? Also, what I think of the Golden Age omnibuses. Yeah, I'm not getting the Electra omnibus. I'm gonna pass on that. Yeah, if you guys saw my Daredevil companion, wasn't I didn't like the art. Greetings. Okay, to answer your previous question, sorry guys, I'm trying to keep up. So for Moon Knight and Captain America, great starting on points. You can skip pretty much everything of Captain America and just jump into Ed Brubaker's run. Ed Brubaker's Captain America is the definitive Captain America for the modern age. You want to read that. It is some of the best storytelling in comics the past 20, 30 years. Great, great stuff. If you're wondering about Moon Knight, Moon Knight is a character that has had a lot of writers take him on, and they never last a long time, mainly because Moon Knight doesn't sell well. But I recommend you pick up Warren Ellis's, I think it was 6-issue run on Moon Knight. Absolutely astounding. Warren Ellis kills it, and there's a scene in there that kind of mimics the scene in the movie The Raid. It's great, great stuff. Warren Ellis's run on Moon Knight was so short-lived, and it bothered me so much that it was short-lived because you could tell that he really loved the character and he really loved experimenting with it, even if it was just a few short issues. Hey, Darren, how's it going? Am I excited for Luke Cage? And do I like Nick Spencer? To answer the first question, absolutely. I'm excited for Luke Cage. I cannot wait to watch that. I think they are going to absolutely do great. I like Nick Spencer. I think Nick Spencer is a solid writer. If you've never read Morning Glories, really, really good stuff. But I recommend that you wait for Morning Glories to complete, because I know a lot of people that they say, well, I read Morning Glories in trades, I read it in hardcovers, and it just doesn't stick with me, and I just ended up dropping it because it's so convoluted and it doesn't make sense. I think if you read Morning Glories, it's one of those series that if you read in chunks, it just flows a lot better, and it's a lot better overall. Yeah, again, we're talking about this. Warren Ellis, to me, wrote the best Moon Knight in probably like the past 5-10 years. And the problem that Warren Ellis tends to have is that he gets bored of superheroes he's been bored of superheroes for a long time, and he gets bored of superheroes really quickly. It's kind of a pain in the ass because you're really starting to get into a character, you're really starting to like Warren Ellis's run on it, and then all of a sudden he jumps off of it and he loses complete interest in it. I hate that. I really, really do hate that. That's part of the reason why Warren Ellis only lasts a few issues on superhero books, because he eventually gets bored and he's like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Fun fact, by the way, Warren Ellis was actually the writer for the animated G.I. Joe movie that was like a few years ago that was like really gory and really bloody, and it was actually badass. Do I like Game of Thrones? Hell yeah. Who doesn't like Game of Thrones these days? Game of Thrones is awesome. Battle of the Bastards, man. Oh my God. Had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. My favorite TV show of all time? My favorite TV show of all time, I'd have to go with Breaking Bad. How great was Breaking Bad for you, those of you guys that were watching? Oh my goodness. Man, Breaking Bad, you want to talk about a character transformation? Breaking Bad, it takes Mr. Chips and turns him into Scarface, and it is so great, so great. And I said that Vision is coming to an end. You know what? I haven't had a chance to actually read Vision yet. I've been wanting to. I haven't ordered the trade paperback, but money is tight right now since we're planning a big move, and I just haven't had a chance to read it. So I've really been wanting to dive into that. I think Tom King is one of those guys that was Sheriff of Babylon with Vision, with Batman. He really is what Scott Snyder was a few years ago, where he is coming up and his star is about to shine, and it's his time to rise up to the plate. Now, I hope he doesn't drop off, and I hope he just doesn't go the way of other guys that they step up and they just fall off the face of the earth, because I think Tom King is one of those guys that DC is really looking out for, and DC is like, yeah, this guy could be our next Scott Snyder. He could be the next guy that we could promote heavily, that any book we stick a name on, he's going to knock it out of the park. I know the Omega Men trade paperback just came out, which is written by Tom King as well, and I really want to check that out, and I really want to read that because I've heard great things. I love Kyle Rayner, and I love the whole concept of the Omega Men, and I love the concept of what happens to Kyle Rayner post the events in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. Do I like Nirvana? Yes, but I am more of an Alice in Chains fan. What's best for Kirkman, Outcast or The Walking Dead or Invincible? You know what? I'm gonna say Invincible. I know it's coming to an end, but I think Invincible is honestly the best thing that Kirkman is writing at the moment. Close second is definitely gonna be Walking Dead, and I mean they are neck and neck for me. Sometimes Walking Dead sometimes edges out in front of it, and then Invincible edges out in front of it. Now that Invincible is coming to an end, though, I'm gonna actually give it to Invincible, mostly because I really am curious to see if Kirkman can stick an ending. I know Kirkman is in the past written a few things here and there, but he's never actually had to write a physical ending, because when you think about it, Outcast is ongoing, Invincible is ongoing, Walking Dead is ongoing, and Walking Dead is going to be going for like, whoo, man, Walking Dead is going to be going. Kirkman says he's got ideas for like the next 20 years. Now, do I want to see the next 20 years of Walking Dead? Not necessarily. I want Walking Dead to eventually end at some point so I can see how the story ends, but, you know, he keeps it fresh and somehow keeps it going, sure, whatever. I personally think that I'm giving Walking Dead as a TV show, I'm giving it probably another 4 or 5 years before it starts petering out and people start getting tired of it and it starts going the supernatural route. Supernatural the first few seasons, and then season 5 came and everyone's like, okay, this is good, and then it starts petering out. Now, what's really fascinating about Walking Dead is that somehow they have gotten a second breath with the introduction of Negan. And that's the same thing that happened in the comics. Walking Dead got a second breath when Negan was introduced, and it seems like that's what's going on in the TV show. Now, they did shoot themselves in the foot over the reveal, you know, that whole situation with the bat last season where they cut it off right before you knew what happened. That was just a slap in the face of the fans. I don't give a damn however Kirkman and company want to explain what it was that they were doing, that, oh, you know, it'll be worth it in the end. No. That to me is bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. What it was that Kirkman and company knew the fans will stick around and they will want to watch this, and we will easily be able to get more views at the beginning of next season. And yes, this is triggered in me because, damn it, I am pissed at this, and I hate this type of crap when they do this in TV shows because it is for the cheapest amount of thrills, and it is so cheap, and I do not enjoy that at all. I think they are robbing fans and they are playing us for suckers when they do this type of crap. Woo! Yeah, that was, I can tell. I really that ending did not sit well with me. What comic age is my favorite? Gold, silver, or bronze? I'm going with gold, man. You just cannot beat the classics. Have I ever read Spawn? When I was younger, I was a big Spawn fan when I was younger. I mean, I actually had like the first issue of Spawn as a kid, but yeah, I really loved Spawn as a kid. What do I feel about Lock and Key? Lock and Key is absolutely a must-buy. It's a must-buy. It's a must-read if you are a fan of comics and if you are a fan of horror comics in general. For those of you that don't know, Lock and Key is written by Joe Hill, who is actually Stephen King's son, and it is quite possibly some of the best horror comics that have been written in the past 30, 40 years, 20, 30 years, something like that. It's really one of my favorite series. I place Lock and Key up there as easily one of my top 5 favorite series, and they stick the landing so well. Ugh, Spawn beats his prey. Ugh, that's disgusting. Must read Green Arrow comics. Jeff Lemire's run. Jeff Lemire's run on Green Arrow is great, and I also recommend the Rebirth run, which is also absolutely fantastic. What's going on right now in Green Arrow Rebirth is great. My favorite artist, I've answered this before, Darwyn Cooke, followed secondly by Jack Kirby. Day Tripper. Day Tripper is one of those books that if you take your time with it, you read it, you process it, and you go through it, and you examine everything about it, it is transformative. And I mean transformative in the sense that when you finish reading Day Tripper, you either will come out of it thinking, wow, that was amazing, and I'm going to have to re-examine how my life is, or you will come out of it going, wow, I am suddenly really depressed. I think it's one of those types of books that if you read it and you soak it in and you just let it sit and you examine every single part of it, you will get so much out of it. And I recommend Day Tripper to absolutely anybody and to people that have never read comics. For those of you that don't know about Day Tripper, is that Day Tripper is an examination of the character. I believe his character was named as Roz. And Roz, at the end of every single issue, ends up dying, and you see a snippet of his life. And it's an examination of life in general and how we go about life and how we interact with people and how we deal with people. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And the art by the Moon Brothers is gorgeous. If you've never read Day Tripper, I'm urging you right now. That is my recommendation for tonight. Guys, I'm telling you right now, my recommendation for tonight, go out, buy the Day Tripper hardcover, read it, get back to me, and I guarantee you, you will love it, and you will just have a tear in your eye at the end of it. It's absolutely fantastic. How much money do I spend on comics per month? I've had to taper off a lot. I've had to taper off a lot because mainly I'm going to be moving soon. I'm going to be getting a bigger place, and with that comes a lot of furniture and a lot of expenses and things like that. And not only that, I just don't have as much time as I used to read and buy comics like I used to. And I'm also gotten into the habit where if I know I'm not going to read it right away, there's really, or if I'm not going to review it for the channel right away, there's no point for me to order it because it's just going to sit on the shelf and it's just going to be wasted money for me. Ooh, how do I get into X-Men? Great question. Okay, how to get into X-Men. I always tell people you can start off with a few different things. If you want to start X-Men, you can start with Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men run, which you don't need any prior knowledge. Jump into it, read it, really great stuff. And if you ever saw the horrible X3 movie, a lot of the inspiration of that was taken from Joss Whedon's run. So read that. You can also read Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men, which is kind of the prequel in certain ways to Joss Whedon's X-Men run, and you'll be perfectly fine. You can also see X-Men is one of those series that there are a bunch of different jumping off points, and I recommend everybody look. The story is so convoluted at this point. Just read X-Men. Just jump onto it and read it. You should be fine. You can also start with a more modern day take on it. You could read Brian Michael Bendis' run, even though I don't care for Bendis' run. I think it's pretty weak, and I don't think it's that great. I think it starts off strong, but it teeters off really quick. Or you can even read Chris Claremont's run on X-Men, which is legendary. Chris Claremont's run on X-Men is some of the most legendary runs on X-Men you would ever have. And you could start all the way with the Uncanny X-Men omnibuses that have been released. And they are re-releasing Volume 2 in, I think it's October when they're re-releasing that volume. Hey, Helio, thanks, man. And you never knew about Scalp before I mentioned it. I'm so glad I could turn you on to Scalp. Scalp is fantastic. Yeah, for those of you that are wondering, I won't read DMZ, and I won't read anything Brian Wood puts out. I have my personal reasons with that. Some of it involving just overall how he treats people and things like that that I'm not going to get into here. But anything Brian Wood, I'm not going to review or promote it on this channel. I refuse to. What are good Flash comics? I get this one a lot too. Great Flash comics. And I made a mistake on this, by the way, last time. They are reprinting Mark Waid's Flash run later on this year. I thought they weren't. I had heard they weren't, and apparently I was wrong. It happens. Sorry about that, guys. But you want to start with Jeff Johns' Flash run. Jeff Johns' Flash run is great. It's not Barry Allen. It's Wally West, but it is awesome. It's such a fun read, and you will have a great time reading it. Jeff Johns really understands the character of the Flash. And fun fact for those of you guys that are out there, Jeff Johns actually was a huge part in the Flash TV show. So you know where a lot of that inspiration came from, which is part of the reason why the Flash TV show was so great, and it happens to be one of my favorite comic book TV shows. So start out with Jeff Johns' Flash run. You can't go wrong with it. You will absolutely love that stuff, especially exploration with Professor Zoom and the Yellow Flash, and the relationship with the Flash Rogues. It's a really great run. And what you're going to notice is that a lot of Jeff Johns' Flash run, what you're going to see is that Wally keeps saying, man, Barry's so great. Barry's so great. I wish Barry was here. Things like that. And it kind of sets up, in a way, the events that will lead later on to the Flash Rebirth when they decide to bring Barry Allen back. Ooh, Barry or Wally? I grew up with Wally, so I'm going to give it a Wally West. Can you give us your order in the most known Daredevil runs? Miller, Bendis, Ed Brubaker, Mark Waid. Ooh, okay. How am I going to do this? I'm going to say from my favorite to least favorite. And these are all great runs. These are all great runs, but like ranking them from favorite to least favorite, damn. Okay, so we're going to go Miller, Bendis, Waid, Brubaker. That's how I'm going to do it. Miller, Bendis, Wade, Brubaker. That's how I would suggest my reading order for Daredevil. That's how I like them the most. What trades can give me the Green Lantern origin? You can pick up Green Lantern Secret Origin, and you'll get Hal Jordan's origin. You'll be perfectly fine. What were my thoughts of the Ultimates run by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch? The Ultimates run by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch is awesome. It's so much damn fun. It really is. It's over the top. It's stupid. It's really action oriented, but oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And really, how many people in there remember that classic scene? Do you think this A stands for France? I was like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. It's such a fun read, and it's so over the top, and it's so of its time, the Ultimates, that I really do recommend anybody check it out, really. And the thing is that Brian Hitch's widescreen style of art was revolutionary at the time. Nobody had really seen that kind of style of art at the time. And it was something that everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I love Brian Hitch's art. I think it's really great stuff. Just he takes a long time to draw it. He's kind of in the same vein as, oh my gosh, what's that writer's name that did Planetary with Warren Ellis? John Cassaday. He's kind of in the same vein as John Cassaday, where he takes forever to do art. But what he puts out is actually really part of the reason why I'm not a big fan of John Cassaday, because the guy takes forever. Favorite female superhero right now, Kamala Khan. Miss Marvel is badass, man. Batman versus Superman or Suicide Squad? What is worse? Dude, that is like, oh man, you're killing me with that one. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna say I thought Suicide Squad was worse. I really think Suicide Squad overall was a worse film, because at least I had problems with Batman versus Superman, but I was partially entertained, and I liked elements more of Batman versus Superman than I did of Suicide Squad. Wow, of Suicide Squad, mainly because I didn't think Suicide Squad was that great. I thought that it was just a mess overall, and you could tell there was something there. You could tell there was something great there, and I would have loved to have seen the original version of that. Saga hardcover volume 2 release date. I'm pretty sure, at least from what I was reading in the Facebook group and what I've been reading online, we're not going to get a Saga hardcover this year. We're going to get it next year. What's great is, though, the East of West volume 2 hardcover was solicited for next year. So we know we're getting that hardcover next year, all you East of West fans like myself. And I can't wait to get my hands on it. Anybody here seen or heard of Hideo Kojima's new? Anybody here seen or heard of Hideo Kojima's new game, Death Stranding? Dope hidden trailer meetings. I love, oh dude, I love Hideo Kojima. I can't wait to see what he does with new Death Stranding. And I think, honestly, I think what Sony's going to do is that they're just going to be like, here's a studio, here's the budget, here's the money. You got 4 or 5 years, knock yourself out, do whatever you want. Oh, hell yeah, I'm a Chili Peppers fan. Awesomeness Productions, do I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Absolutely, man. Who doesn't like the Chili Peppers? Will I wait for a Blu-ray for Suicide Squad? I'm going to actually, you know what, I will do this. If they release an Ultimate Cut or an extended edition of Suicide Squad, and it's good, because I got so much damn hate for that review of Suicide Squad, I will personally apologize on a YouTube video to everybody that I gave hate for on that. I will make a video and apologize for it. I'm not against it. I really am not against it, because I was actually impressed with Batman versus Superman. Have I watched Stranger Things? Absolutely. Dude, who hasn't watched Stranger Things? Stranger Things is fucking awesome. Oh my gosh, the music on that. As a kid who grew up watching like old school 80s, because that's all my grandfather had, VHS tapes, I love Stranger Things. The soundtrack on that, I ended up buying the CD and the soundtrack of Stranger Things. That is how much I loved it, and I'm bumping that thing in my car every single day to work. I would love to see a Shinobi comic. Me too, man. What do I do besides comics and movies? I am actually in the middle of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've trained Muay Thai off and on, and I play, a bunch of video games. Basically, I'm just a regular guy. I go out to bars on the weekends with friends. I hang out with friends, things like that. I'm really no different than any of you guys. The only difference is I'm some jackass who puts it puts YouTube videos online and people watch them. Surprisingly enough. Oh, Stranger Things is a totally 10 and up great show. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, man. Back on the subject of Suicide Squad, Jared Leto could have gotten more camera time. Absolutely. I think I cannot pass a final judgment on Jared Leto's Suicide Squad character because he is in it so short, and you can tell. Just look at the trailers, just look at the special features and things like that. You can tell that Jared Leto got robbed. You can tell they cut out a whole bunch of crap from it. And if you've seen an interview with him, he is not happy. Now, I don't think necessarily that they're going to just write him off the DC universe and find another actor, but you can tell for a fact Jared Leto was written out of a lot of that film, and they edited a lot of that film, and he was pissed about it. Rightfully so, because this is an actor that you got to think, Oscar nominated, big name star. He was in a lot of the promotion. He thought, I'm going to be in a lot of this movie. He finds out, you've cut almost everything about me out of this movie. And really the thing is, you can't have the Joker as a side character in a movie. He is so much bigger than that. You having the Joker in as a side character in your movie is absolutely a terrible idea. What they should have done, and I've said this before in my Suicide Squad review, Assault on Arkham. You make the Joker the main villain. You establish the relationship of Harley Quinn, and she's working as kind of a black ops undercover agent for Amanda Waller. There's your story. There's your connection. And personally, there is your kind of drama, you know, the tension of will she get caught, won't she get caught? At the end of the film, obviously, she either does or does not, you know, but things like that. It's such a waste of a good character, and it's such a waste of a potentially great and legendary performance because we know Jared Leto is a great actor. Dallas Buyers Club is fantastic. Am I looking forward to Nolan's new film, Dunkirk? I'm actually looking forward to see what Nolan does in a movie that isn't a genre film. You know, we've seen The Prestige. We've seen, what's that film where the whole thing is backwards? I'm blanking on the name of it, but we saw his original film, and I'm looking forward to see what he does. Rick and Morty hardcover, worth buying. I've never read Rick and Morty. I've never even seen the TV show, and I get a lot of hate from that by my friends. Live by Night, mafia movie directed by Affleck. I can't wait. Ben Affleck was one of those guys that he got a lot of hate back in the day, and to me, he's one of the best, hands down, the best directors out there right now. What should be the next comic book TV show? That's actually a really good question. I think Y: The Last Man. I think Y: The Last Man is one of those series that it's just right for TV, especially these days, where this day and age where everything is serialized and you can have certain arcs and certain characters, and you can stretch things out for 5, 6 seasons. Y: The Last Man just fits that bill perfectly, where you can have the first episode be every man, you know, you establish it, you do a slow build up, and every man then just gets wiped out at the end of the episode, like the first issue of Y: The Last Man. I think that would be great. You could easily do a Y: The Last Man TV show, and it would be great. Lock and Key is another one. Yeah, Lock and Key is another one of those TV shows. And actually, Lock and Key, there was a pilot a few years ago for Fox that was really, really good. And people that went to see that pilot at San Diego Comic-Con, because they did show it. They showed it one year at San Diego Comic-Con, said it's really great. However, they took the first 6 issues of Lock and Key and they truncated it down into one episode. Now, Lock and Key is actually getting a second chance because it's being adapted to a movie. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with that and how they're going to translate it. And it's going to be really fascinating. Now, I think what they're going to want to do is that they're probably going to want to go the Harry Potter route, and they're going to want to make every single volume of Lock and Key one movie. And eventually you build up and you build up and you build up to the big finale. We'll see how that goes, though. What arcades do you find yourself constantly playing? What arcade games? Man, I was a Street Fighter kid. How much do I bench? I don't know. I haven't benched in a while. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. How much? I was a Street Fighter kid. I was a Street Fighter, Double Dragon, Mortal Kombat kind of kid. I spent coins on coins on coins on that type of stuff, dude. Oh, my God. I've answered this today. Yes, I am a huge Chili Peppers fan. Absolutely love the Chili Peppers. Would I recommend watching the TV show or reading the Walking Dead comics first? You can do either one. I think I'm gonna say the comics though. I personally love the comics, especially some of the earlier issues of the comics are a lot stronger than the entire first and most of second season of The Walking Dead. So I recommend to anybody, yeah, start with the comics, man. You can do either one though because they branch out so much, and for the most part, they're not really that connected. Memento. Memento was the name of Nolan's movie. That's what it was. Brian K. Vaughan has said he doesn't want Saga to be adapted into a TV show. What are my thoughts on that statement? I agree. I don't think Saga can be done on a TV show. I think it's way too big. I think that the language and the themes and things like that that they touch on can't be done. And I said the same thing about Preacher, and look what we got for Preacher. We got a really watered down version of Preacher. And I think that's exactly what's going to end up happening if they decide to do a Saga TV show. We will get a watered down version of Saga simply because of the fact that it's a space exploration story, and to do that on TV costs a lot of money. Yes, we've seen TV shows like Battlestar Galactica do it, but this is so much grander in scale. I mean, you got a giant with his nuts hanging in front of you in one panel, and it was just some of the most traumatizing things that I've ever seen. I think we'll get a Sex Criminals TV show before we'll actually get a Saga Criminals TV show. Do I have superpowers? No, but I would like to. Do I feel sorry for Cujo? Actually, I kind of do. I mean, Cujo, if you've never read Stephen King's Cujo, it's absolutely a fascinating read, and I did feel sorry for him. Am I hyped for Runaways on Hulu? Absolutely. Love the Runaways. Runaways is really great. I absolutely love that series. I know Rob from Comics Explained absolutely hates Runaways. I love this series. I think Runaways is great, great stuff, man. It's really fun. For those of you that have never read Runaways, it was something Brian K. Vaughan put together a few years ago with a bunch of teenagers with mutants and with special abilities, and it turns out that their parents were actually villains. Really great premise, really interesting series, and I recommend you guys do check that out. I want to read it, but wow, One Piece. I've always wanted to read One Piece, but it's one of those series that's like Bleach that, oh my gosh, oof. And yeah, sci-fi is very expensive for TV. Hannibal series, man. Oh, Hannibal the TV series. If you've never read Hannibal the TV series, you are doing yourself a disservice by not doing. If you've never read, wow. If you've never watched the Hannibal TV series, you are doing yourself a disservice by not watching it. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and it is great. Great, 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 man. What is my opinion on the hate that Florida gets? Man, I think some of it is deserved. I don't hate Florida. It's just it can be, you take it or leave it. Sometimes it could be great, and sometimes it can pretty much turn into the Mad Max Fury Road here. It's crazy. Attack on Titan. Absolutely love Attack on Titan. My top 3 MCU movies. My top 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Okay. Starting and from my favorite, Guardians of the Galaxy, Winter Soldier, and you know what? I'm actually going to give it to Civil War. Yeah, those are my top 3 MCU movies. Guardians of the Galaxy is so much fun. And Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those properties that nobody knew what it was. Everybody, including myself, said Guardians of the Galaxy is going to fail. There's no way Guardians of the Galaxy can be great. It's not going to do well in the box office. This is Marvel's riskiest adventures. There's no way that Guardians of the Galaxy will be successful. Look what happened. One of the top grossing films of all time. Absolutely love, love, love Guardians of the Galaxy, man. Is that true? Wait, hold on. Is that true? Is Hannibal getting a 4th season? Really? No. No, they haven't confirmed that. Oh my gosh, you're going to have me looking online tonight for that. Oh, wow. Uzumaki is good. Uzumaki is really messed up, but it's really good. If you're looking for a good Japanese horror comic, pick up Uzumaki, but I'm warning you right now, It is some of the most messed up stuff that you will absolutely ever read. Absolutely. It is dark, it's horrifying, and just thinking about it right now is actually, oh man, it's sending chills down my spine. Ooh. Absolutely terrifying stuff. If you want a great horror comic that'll just send chills down your spine, read Uzumaki. I haven't read Supreme Power. So he did say in an interview. So we are getting a 4th season of Hannibal? Really? Wow. American Gods TV show. Yes, I've read Rat Queens. Absolutely love Rat Queens. The American Gods TV show. Super excited about that. I wonder if they're gonna do the vagina eating the person monster. But yeah, American Gods is great. I love Neil Gaiman's American Gods. I read that in probably like 2 days. I blew through the book. Really, really great stuff. But I'm curious. I really am curious if they're gonna do the vagina eating person monster bit. Do I plan on watching season 2 of Supergirl? I need to watch season 1. I've heard mixed things. I've heard it's not that great. I'm of the opinion that I'll give anything a shot. I need to sit down and watch it. But like I've said, I don't have cable, so. Japanese are very, yeah, that's true. My opinions on Garth Ennis's Punisher by Pancake Number 5. I bought the first trade, and so far it's kind of meh. Only a few pages in. Garth Ennis's Punisher gets better as it goes along. I thought the same thing too the first time that I read Garth Ennis's Punisher. However, I urge you, if you want to read anything that Garth Ennis has written, read The Slavers. The Slavers is hands down one of the greatest comics that I've ever read. In the span of 6 issues, what Garth Ennis does with the Punisher and what Garth Ennis does with social commentary involving slave trade and involving prostitution and involving that world is absolutely heartbreaking. It's absolutely stunning, and it's absolutely some of the most affecting things that I have ever read. The Slavers by Garth Ennis Punisher Max is the definitive. I don't care what anybody says. To me, The Slavers by Garth Ennis, and I know there's a lot of Greg Rucka fans out there, is hands down the best Punisher story that has ever been written. Hands down. I really don't think that I've ever read a Punisher story, or in fact, there aren't many stories that I have read that have affected me as much as The Slavers by Garth Ennis. It is something that once you read it, you will just be shaking with anger. And you do get a sense of why Frank Castle would do these things. And the thing is, with Garth Ennis' run on Punisher, what's absolutely so great about it is that Garth Ennis gets a chance to explore the Punisher from a different point of angle. Because Garth Ennis knows the Punisher isn't exactly the most deep character. He's not a character that everybody's just going to automatically root for, and he's really not that interesting by himself. So what he does is that he surrounds the Punisher with different characters that you root for. And he places the Punisher in different situations that you can go, this is why I like this Punisher. The Punisher here is amazing, and he is violent, and he doesn't give a damn. And I'm talking about the Punisher Max series. And you can't, for those of you that are wondering, The Slavers, I think, is trade 4. You can pick it up and you'll be perfectly fine. You don't need to read anything else about it. But please, please, do yourself a favor if you have a passing interest in the Punisher and read The Slavers. Let's see what else. I don't like, dude, I love Scotty Young. Scotty Young's awesome. I actually met him at a con and I got an Akira sketch from him. He did a Tetsuo for me. Have I read I Hate Fairyland? Yes, I have, actually. I Hate Fairyland is actually a really fun read. What comic book movie am I looking forward to the most? Right now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I really want to see what they do with that. I absolutely Galaxy Volume 1, as I've already told you. Who do I think are the smartest characters in DC and Marvel? Okay, that's actually pretty simple. Smartest characters in DC are Mr. Terrific. Who is the smartest? Who is above Mr. Terrific in the DC universe? I can't believe I'm blanking out on the name. Dr. Fate? No, Dr. Fate isn't above it. Mr. Terrific, and for Marvel, it's got to be Reed Richards. Reed Richards is the smartest man in the DC universe, in the Marvel universe. My mistake. I haven't read Warren Ellis's run on James with James Bond. Darius, it's on my to-do list. What's my favorite Maxi series aside from All-Star Superman? Ooh, good question. I'll have to get back to you on that, man. Opinions on the Watchmen movie. I've talked about this, actually. I think the Watchmen movie is pretty good, actually. It's flawed. It's got a lot of flaws. I know a lot of fans, they don't like how it ends, and there's certain liberties that Zack Snyder decides to take film's ending. I personally was of the opinion that I think in the film context, it works. You know, it does work. But the problem is there's no subtlety to it. It's just really all in your face. Oh yeah, my favorite Star Wars movie, Empire. Come on, Empire, man. Yeah, it's a dark ending. It's a very dark ending, but I absolutely love Empire. What comic book movie do I think is the most loyal to the source material? Not necessarily the best movie. The most loyal to the source material. Give me a second to think about that. The most loyal to the source material would probably have to be, okay, if we're talking shot for shot remake, aside from the ending, then off the top of my head, I'd have to probably give it to Watchmen or maybe even 300. Because that's what Zack Snyder does. He does shot for shot remakes of comics a lot of times. A New Hope. Wow, a lot of New Hope fans. I'm getting the same question. What Rebirth titles am I reading? Rebirth. I've gone over this already. My Rebirth titles right now are Flash, Batman by Tom King, Green Lantern. What else am I reading in Rebirth? Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman, but I'm about to drop that. I'm not. And the thing is, I'm not a fan of Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman. I've been trying and I just can't get into it. Wow, you know what? To answer your question, wow, yeah, I can't believe I forgot Sin City. Yeah, Sin City is probably the most faithful adaptation of a comic book that I could think. Sin City is pretty dead on. Damn, wow, I can't believe I blanked out on Sin City. Sin City's such a great movie, by the way. If you guys haven't seen Sin City, it's really great, and it actually holds up pretty well. I never talk about Animal Man. Do I like him? Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Love Animal Man. Love Grant Morrison's run, and I love Jeff Lemire's run on Animal Man. Two great runs. If you've never heard Grant Morrison's run on Animal Man, pick it up. Real trippy. Really, 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 really trippy. But it's really so much fun. Animal Man by Jeff Lemire is a great run. However, it does get a bit muddied, especially since he had to do the crossover event with Scott Snyder, and for the most part, that didn't work out. But the thing is, after he finishes up that crossover event, it jumps back into being one of the best things of the New 52. Did I know that Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello will get an Absolute Edition? Yes, I did, and I absolutely cannot wait to pick that up. I really can't. I'm a big fan of Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman run. I think it's really great stuff. Hey, Miguel. What's up, man? What comic book format do I prefer? Trade paperback, hardcover, man? Omnibus, of course. Haven't read Black Hammer yet. I haven't gotten a chance to sit down with it. I have it. I just haven't really gotten a chance to exactly sit down and read it. Is Huck coming back? Huck is coming back next year? I've heard great things about Huck. What Spider-Man storyline do I want to see in the MCU? Oh, that's easy. Kraven's Last Hunt. For those of you that have never read a Spider-Man story, you can read Kraven's Last Hunt. Great stuff. Kraven the Hunter hunting Spider-Man down. Great. Absolutely. And the thing is, Kraven buries Spider-Man in that. And it's really, really great. Get my water. I'm getting kind of parched right now. Ooh. Give me a sec, guys. No, they're not a sponsor, for those of you that are wondering. I don't have sponsors yet. Maybe one day. Zendaya in the Zendaya as Mary Jane. Yeah. There was a big hubbub about that online over the past few days, with people saying, oh, she's, she's an African American and she's playing a white character. What's going on with that? Look, I don't care. Honestly, I really don't care. As long as she's right for the role and she plays Mary Jane really well, then I don't care. Obviously, they saw something in her that, a lot of people didn't see in her, and they auditioned her and she did great. So Marvel hasn't let us down with a casting choice yet, in my opinion. They have not let us down at all in any of their casting. People remember when they said, Chris Pratt was going to be Star-Lord. Nobody saw it happening, and he turned out to be a really great Star-Lord. Same thing with Captain America, Chris Evans. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're getting the Human Torch to be Captain America. Now he is Captain America. And people don't remember this. Robert Downey Jr., before he became Iron Man, was an actor that he was very risky. He had a coke problem. He had a lot of drugs. He had a lot of history with hookers and a lot of issues. But he cleaned up his act, and now he is Iron Man. People don't like to remember that part of Robert Downey Jr., but the fact is, he was a very risky choice. And Jon Favreau actually had to battle Marvel and say, look, this guy is Iron Man. He is the right choice for this. And without Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, we wouldn't have the Marvel universe as it is right now. Image is killing it right now with all the diverse titles released. Is there anything you're looking forward to coming soon? Love Lazarus. Looking forward to Surgeon X. I'm looking forward to what am I looking forward to? I haven't been following too much of what Image is coming out with lately because of the fact that Image puts something new out like every other week. So it's impossible for me to actually give you a solid answer on that. But I know it's not an Image title that's coming out per se. But I'm looking forward to Greg Capullo and Mark Millar's book that's coming out soon. But that's not even Image. That's under Millar World. Have I read Chew 57? No, I have not. I have not read Chew issue 57. I have it on my tablet. I have the digital issue. I'm going to sit down actually after this, and I'm going to review it. I'm going to not review it. I'm going to read it. For those of you that are wondering, also the review for this week will be the Hellboy Library Edition. I'm redoing that one. Chew is awesome. Chew is awesome. Chew is so good. Yeah, that was Image. Favorite Arkham game? Arkham Asylum. Believe it or not, Arkham Asylum level-wise and the construction of the level. Arkham City story-wise. Arkham Knight I didn't care for that much. Arkham Knight I had my problems with that. It is Icon. Okay, so it's Icon. All right, I wasn't sure what imprint with that. Mark Millar's new comic was under. Have I read any Valiant? I haven't. I wanted to sit down with Valiant. The problem is, like I said, money. And I'm hoping eventually, to get a little bit extra cash and I can sit down and read it. Animal Man Rebirth would be great. What is my favorite comic in terms of presentation and quality? Hellboy. Hellboy for me has always been consistent, and the library editions are the pinnacle of what you can do with a collected edition. I love Hellboy. I love Mike Mignola's work. I love that universe. I cannot get enough of it. And in terms of presentation and in terms of what they put out, Hellboy for me is top of my list. It's absolutely something that every time a new Hellboy product comes out or a new Hellboy trade or a new Hellboy issue comes out, I'm there day one with bells on to read it or pick it up. And no, I haven't read Hellboy in Hell yet, the final issue. Mostly because I am waiting for a collected edition of all that stuff, which it's got to happen. It has to happen at some point. So Reborn by Capullo and Millar is at Image, not Icon. So what is it? I'm hearing different things. Favorite Harry Potter book and film? Azkaban for me both. I actually agree with you. Azkaban is the best film, and to me, Azkaban is the best book. And we're going to get into a little bit of a film nerd thing. What they did with Azkaban is that Alfonso Cuarón, the director of Azkaban and a lot of my personal favorite movies, seriously, if you've never seen Children of Men, go out and see it, is that Alfonso Cuarón took the Prisoner of Azkaban story and said, look, this is what works. This is what doesn't work. We're going to boil all these elements down. We're going to make this into a tight hour-and-a-half, 2-hour-and-a-half movie, and we're going to knock it out of the park. Azkaban to me was the turning point of a lot of the Harry Potter films where they learned the formula. They learned the easy way to do it, and then they dropped the ball a little bit in Goblet of Fire. But Azkaban to me is definitely the best of the Harry Potter films because they are able to take the source material, they're able to translate it, they're able to take bits and pieces of it, and they're able to make it into a cohesive and well-paced movie. Have I read the new 52 Flash? I haven't. I haven't actually had a chance to read it. What do I think of parkour next to martial arts? I'm not against it, you know. And what about Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing? Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing is good, but it's actually, I think, his weakest. I think by far the weakest amount of stuff that he's ever done. I think it doesn't hold up that well, and I think that you can tell by halfway through his Rot World arc or whatever it was that he was done. He just didn't want to do it anymore. He's like, yeah, I'm losing interest in this, which is probably why he dropped it so soon. Hey, Amir. Nice to see you, man. Hope everything is well. I'm glad you can make it. I know you're from the Omnibus group online. Let's see. Have I read Doom Patrol by Morrison? I haven't gotten a chance to read Doom Patrol by Grant Morrison yet. I'm actually waiting for the I'm actually going to be picking it up in trade paperbacks. I know they are re-releasing it right now because of the fact that the omnibus is just so unwieldy and it's hard to carry around that I just don't want to sit with like this big Doom Patrol omnibus in front of me and just sit down with it. Same thing with the Invisibles. I actually had the Invisibles omnibus and I ended up selling it because this is just too unwieldy. It's just too much and I just don't want to read it in this format. And I did the same thing with the Colossal Conan. I know that's a whale for a lot of people and a lot of people are looking forward to finding it, but I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm going to read this thing the way it is right now. It's just way too big, which I'm glad that they are re-releasing all the Colossal Conan issues in trade paperback later on this year. What's my favorite online shop to buy comics? In Stock Trades. I swear by In Stock Trades, man. And no In Stock Trades doesn't promote me. I don't get a cut of anything or anything like that. I just love In Stock Trades. I haven't had any problem with it. If you want to read Swamp Thing, where do I start? Alan Moore. Now, if you want to start at the very beginning of Swamp Thing, you can pick up Len Wein and Len Wein's run. Len Wein's run of Swamp Thing is actually getting re-released later this year. It's either in trade paperbacks or in an omnibus format, and I really recommend you pick that up. Favorite video game genre? Yeah, Francis Manapul and Brian Bacalato's Flash Run is getting released in an omnibus soon, guys, for those of you that are wondering. What is my favorite film and book outside of comics? Film is Seven Samurai. Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai is brilliant stuff. Book, man, that's really hard because I read a lot of books at times. Something Wicked Comes This Way. Something Wicked Comes This Way is one of my favorite books of all time. All right, I used the Banhammer just now. You prefer Dark Knight Returns or All-Star Superman? All-Star Superman. Hands down, man. All-Star Superman without a shadow of a doubt. Hey, congratulations. I had actually just banned somebody. That's my first ban in chat. I feel so proud now. Alan Moore Swamp Thing, absolutely. You know what? I actually would prefer an Absolute Edition. I would love an Absolute Edition of Alan Moore Swamp Thing over an omnibus. I think that would be absolutely great. See what I did there? But I think an Absolute Edition of Alan Moore Swamp Thing is way overdue. Or at the very least, can we get an omnibus? DC. If somebody from DC, I'm looking at you right now. If somebody from that office is listening or watching this right now, I don't know why you would be. Where is my Alan Moore Swamp Thing omnibus? Where is my Alan Moore Swamp Thing Absolute Edition? You're reprinting the Len Wein stuff. Where is it? It's time. It's more than time for you to reprint that stuff. And I don't care how much of a hatred you have for Alan Moore right now. His Swamp Thing run is incredible. Jeff Lemire's Animal Man omnibus. Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't see why we couldn't get a Jeff Lemire Animal Man omnibus. I think it would be great. I think I would absolutely pick that up year one. Now, I think you would have to also release a Scott Snyder Animal Man Scott Snyder Swamp Thing omnibus because the series ties so heavily into each other. Am I doing a Q&A on Sunday too? That'll be that's I'm not sure yet. Maybe. Oh, I'm sure I'll get my omnibus when Justice League Dark comes out. I can bet money. All right, save this stream. Save this right now. I am putting money right now that when the Justice League Dark movie comes out, if Swamp Thing is in it, we will get that. We'll get that Alan Moore omnibus. Translate Green Lantern rings onto Marvel characters. Who gets which ring? Ooh, good question. What do you guys think in the chat? Which character from the Marvel universe gets the Green Lantern ring? Let me think real quick. Damn, that's really hard. Okay, so for Rage, I'm gonna give it to the red ring. I'm gonna give that to Wolverine because that's a lot of anger, and you need a character that's really angry. For Death, man, oof, that's such a good question. I'm gonna keep thinking about this as we go along. Oh, Hulk for wow, yeah, red. Oh man, Hulk for red. I can't believe I didn't catch that. Yes, Hulk for red. Hulk would get the red power ring, absolutely. Hank Pym for the blue ring. I could see that. Yeah, wow, I can't believe I didn't think about that. Yeah, Hulk automatically gets the red power ring. Absolutely. Thanos would get Death. So there's two. Because Thanos loves Death. God, I can't think right now. I'm blanking on it. So Courage. Who would get Courage right now? I think I would give Courage to Spider-Man. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I would give the Green Lantern to Cap. I'd give Green Lantern to Cap, to be honest. Punisher for Fear? You know what? I don't know about that one. Captain America, without a shadow of a doubt, would be either blue or green, I think. Iron Man for Greed. Yeah. Wow, you are killing it right now. Yeah, Iron Man for Greed. I don't know. Yeah, Iron Man hands down would have to be Greed. You would have to give it to him. Thor would be good for green also, being worthy. Okay, so we can give it. Captain America would be blue, obviously, if it's the character. Thor would be green because of worthiness and all that other stuff. Hulk would be red. Thanos would be death. And let's see. Ghost Rider would for yellow. Ghost Rider for fear. Yeah. So is that all of them? I'm trying to Indigo. We're missing Indigo. Would Daredevil be green? I don't know. We're missing Indigo right now. Yeah, but Cap also lifted up Thor's hammer. White. White is the encompassing of all of the rings. Who would get white? Man, that's a good question. You think the Phoenix for white? Really? That's an interesting choice. Daredevil would be, a lot of people saying Daredevil would be yellow. I'm giving that one to Ghost Rider simply because of the fact that Ghost Rider is, you know, the whole pendant stare and he's got like the flaming skull and everything. I think I'm going to give that to him. I think Black Widow for Indigo would work. I think that would work. I'm trying to think, what about Deadpool? What would you guys give Deadpool? How about Orange for Deadpool? I think it fits more Tony Stark than Deadpool, but you know, if you see the Orange Lantern ring and what it turns characters into, they kind of go crazy. No, Punisher for Indigo? No. Okay, yeah, Professor X. I can see Professor Howard the Duck for white. Yes, you win. How great would it be to have Howard the Duck with a white lantern ring on him right now? Oh man, that'd be fantastic. All right, you're kind of selling me. He is the man without fear. He is. He is. But that would mean that he would get the Green Lantern ring because of the absence of fear. Ooh, Doctor Doom for Orange. Good choice. I like that actually. Doctor Doom for the orange power ring. That's a good choice. Spider-Man for white. I don't know. I don't know, man. White. See, white is so hard because white is the personification of all the different power rings come together. So it's kind of like the symbol of harmony and things like. I don't know. That one's a really hard choice, man. All right. So yeah, we'll go with that. Vision gets white. I think Punisher will be good for yellow. Only I'm gonna give it to Ghost Rider. I am definitely Manhattan. There you go. There's your white. Manhattan. No way, he's a DC character. We're talking Marvel characters. That doesn't work. Ah. Oh my gosh. See, but Galactus isn't greedy. He's just hungry. When you think about it. Galactus really is just a hungry guy. That's just his purpose. Harold, you win. Jack Kirby for white. Yup. Harold wins. He sealed it. Jack Kirby gets the white power ring. Absolutely. Thanos for greed would work as well. Yeah, it would. See what you started, Amir? No, we can't agree. None of us can agree on who gets what power ring. Spider-Man for pink? Really? James TH. I recently got Daredevil Man Without Fear. Where should I go from there? You can read Daredevil Born Again. Pick up Daredevil Born Again, or you can pick up the Frank Miller omnibuses, and you're good to go from there. Then you jump into, I always use the same reading order for everybody. For anybody in there that wants to know, how do I start reading Daredevil? You pick up the Frank Miller omnibuses, then you move into the Kevin Smith run, then you move into the Brian Michael Bendis run, then Ed Brubaker, you skip Shadowland, and you jump into Mark Waid's run. Is he? Has Swamp Thing been confirmed for the Justice League Dark movie? What's the character list for the Justice League Dark movie? I haven't been paying too much attention to that stuff. Jack Kirby is the White Ring. Yeah, he really is. What are some recommended Nightwing stories? Pick up Tom King's run on Nightwing. Really, really great stuff. It's called Grayson, and I really recommend anybody that has a passing interest in it really, really picks that up. It's really great stuff. The only thing you need to know is that he isn't Nightwing anymore. He's actually a undercover secret agent working in Spiral, but he's secretly undercover for Batman. It's really great stuff. The Collector getting the orange ring. Wow, this is still going on. Wow, you guys are really putting a lot of thought into this. This is really awesome. The Gambit director is doing Justice League Dark, so I guess he's off Gambit then. Oh. Let's see. Oh. Best Jack Kirby character design. Man, the New Gods. The New Gods are absolutely fantastic. Black Bolt is totally underrated. How do I get into the Universal Galactic Marvel Universe? Oh, that's easy, dude. You pick up Annihilation, Annihilation Conquest, then Guardians of the Galaxy, then you just branch off from there and you start reading like the Thanos Imperative, the War of Kings, all that stuff. All of that stuff is getting reprinted in omnibuses. Oh, I want to tell you guys, heads up, this is very important. For those of you that are thinking about picking up the Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus, do not pick it up. Don't pick it up. All that stuff, all the issues in the Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus are getting reprinted later on in the next year in the War of Kings omnibus and stuff like that. And the War of Kings and the Realm of King omnibus and the companions, all of that Guardians of the Galaxy stuff that is in there is getting reprinted. That's why you're seeing so many people selling off their Guardians of the Galaxy omnibuses, because they will be worthless pretty soon. What do I think of vintage Diesel Black Bolt? I think you mean Vin Diesel. I think it'd be cool. You know, he plays a character that you only hear his voice to a character that you don't hear his voice at all. Rumors of Superman returning with a black suit. I think they've pretty much confirmed that he is going to come back with a black suit. I mean, Henry Cavill has shown a picture of like a really close-up shot. The new Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus. The new one that came out last year with Rocket Raccoon, the modern age Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus. Was there ever a point in comics that you thought about jumping off? Actually, last year. Last year there was a point where I stopped doing this YouTube channel. I dropped everything and I was selling off a bunch of my comics. I had just gone through a really bad breakup with this. Well, I'm not going to get into it here, but I'd just gone through a really bad breakup last year, and I was selling off just about everything. I sold off a huge chunk of my collection because I was depressed, and I was like, look, I'm done with comics. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to try something new in my life, and I sold off a lot of it. And I was this close from just actually going on the omnibus group and just going take everything for like no money at all, for just a small amount. Being a fellow Floridian and thinking we're in the same area, what comic shop do you go to if you ever go to them? Oh, I go to Coliseum of Comics in Orlando. And I know there's like 15 locations, but for the sake of privacy reasons, I'm not going to give away which one I go to. But on occasion, I'll swing by there. What do I think about the Guardians of the Galaxy Omnibus by Abnett? I actually just addressed this a few minutes ago. If you are somebody that's planning to pick up the Guardians of the Galaxy Omnibus by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, do not pick it up, because all that stuff is getting reprinted later on this year or next year in the War of Kings and Realm of King Omnibus, which is why you're seeing so many people on eBay and online trying to sell theirs off so fast. My opinion on Metal Gear Solid 5, nearly a year old now. Massive disappointment for me story-wise. Yeah, same. I wasn't crazy. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I haven't even finished Metal Gear Solid 5 yet. I got through the first half of it, and I lost interest in it. Let's see. Oh, man. Hugo, I'm so sorry, dude. Have I ever seen The Sopranos? I haven't. You know what? Surprisingly enough, I have not seen The Sopranos. I know it's one of those TV series that I always get hell for from my fans. It's like, how have you not have you not seen The Sopranos? Just something that's never interested me. Yeah, I know Sopranos is amazing, but I have seen Breaking Bad. I have seen Breaking Bad. Is it just me? Who would keep the omnibus? Hey, if you want to keep the Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus, perfectly fine, man. I'm just giving you guys a heads up that it's going to get reprinted soon. Best Batman book so far. Batman's had such a long history, but my favorite Batman book of all time. Ooh, I'm going to say Black Mirror. Black Mirror is really good. $65 for the... Oh, that's not too bad for the Guardians of the Galaxy on this. Can a Batman who kills even be considered Batman? No, which is one of my main problems that I had with... A Batman that kills is one of my main problems that I had with Batman versus Superman, because the fact is, when Batman decides to kill somebody in his rogues gallery, it doesn't make him any better than his rogues gallery. He's actually just the same. He kills for being crazy, you know. And I'm not crazy about that idea, because when Batman starts killing, what's to stop him from killing his other villains? We saw it in the Suicide Squad movie. Why would he go out of his way to save Harley Quinn? He already kills people. He kills people in the warehouse. He pretty much oh my! I have so many problems with Batman versus Superman and the universe that they're doing with that. James Gordon Jr. is a creepy villain. Harold, absolutely creepy. Long Halloween's fun. Long Halloween is a really fun story. I keep getting this a lot. Do we know if they're reprinting the Annihilation and the Annihilation Conquest omnibus? Annihilation Conquest, as far as my knowledge goes, is still in print. Annihilation is not getting a reprint anytime soon, from what we've seen in solicitations. Worst Daredevil story. I haven't read any bad Daredevil stories, mostly because I tend to shy away from that stuff. Am I going to read the second omnibus for I Am a Hero? Yeah, I plan to. I have the first one, and I keep hearing that I Am a Hero gets a lot better as you go along in the series. Just the first trade is absolutely such a slow read that I lost interest in it almost quickly. Wow, I just realized how high that is. There we go. That's a lot better. Wow, is the Annihilation Omnibus really going for $400 online? Is it really that expensive? Holy crap. By the way, if anybody has an Annihilation Omnibus that they want to sell to me, I'll gladly take it off your hands as long as it's not like $300 or something, because I really want to get that one back. Best Spider-Man story. I answered that earlier today. Crime's Last Hunt for me. Should DC make something like Marvel's Unlimited? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think DC is having a missed opportunity. Series that you didn't like at first but ended up liking. I've answered this before, but not on a live stream. Hellboy. Strangely enough, I did not like Hellboy when I first started reading it, mainly because of the story structure of Hellboy, because it is a set of short stories that intertwine into a longer story that plays out later on. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all because of the movies. The movies gave me a misconception of what I would be reading, and I absolutely hated it. I absolutely hated the first time I was reading Hellboy. I was like, what is this? This isn't like the movies. And I was young then too. But as I kept reading the series and as I kept jumping into the world and as I kept reading everything Mike Mignola was pointing out, I fell in love with Hellboy. Man, oh. And I've heard that a lot with a lot of people that they say, wow, I started reading Hellboy. It wasn't what I thought it would be. It wasn't the movie. And the movie is such a misrepresentation of what Hellboy is. And it's kind of tragic because Guillermo del Toro is really one of my favorite directors right now. And he just missed it completely for me on Hellboy. I didn't hate it. Just I think it's not that faithful of an adaptation. Do I like Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, I do like Dragon Ball Z, and I've been watching Dragon Ball Super. Oh, Harold, don't tell me that. Harold, I Am a Hero Omnibus contains the two slowest volumes. Ah, don't tell me that. Oh, Volume 1 was such a slog for me. I could barely get through the first half of Volume 1 without almost falling asleep. Oh, wow, this just blew up. Thomas Carbone, what inspired me to teach autistic children? You actually want to do that? Man, actually, long story short, I just got fresh out of college. I was struggling for work. I couldn't find anything. So I ended up doing was that I got a part-time job at a shoe store. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not going to be the rest of my life. I absolutely can't do this the rest of my life. So what I ended up doing was that I ended up looking online and I ended up looking and there was a job for helping special needs kids that were wheelchair bound and that are very, very low on the intelligence level and they have a lot of disabilities. So I started working in that field as an assistant to a classroom. I fell in love with it and I ended up getting certified and I ended up wanting to help out special needs kids and I ended up teaching kids with autism and I've been doing it for about 4 years now. Absolutely love it. If you have a passion for it, I absolutely recommend that you do go for it. However, just know autistic kids, they learn differently. It's not that they can't learn, like the common misconception is, or it's not that they're not good kids or they're bad kids or anything like that. That's not the case. They just learn differently and they process information differently. And if you do take time to work with them, you will have some of the most rewarding and fun experiences that you'll ever have. They can be a handful at times, I'm not going to lie, but they're also really great kids. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I absolutely love working with my class. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, Amir. It happens. The average burnout rate for teachers that work with special needs kids, I think, is about 4 years. And it's not necessarily what I've been hearing a lot. Isn't necessarily the kids. It's everything else on top of it because of the paperwork, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and the pay, let's be honest, isn't the greatest in the world. But I still love it, and I still love what I do. Yeah, no, you know what? Al Bundy was exactly the thing I was thinking about after college. I'm not gonna be Al Bundy. Favorite Batman villain that is not the Joker. Ooh, Two-Face. Love Two-Face. Two-Face is such a great and underused villain. Does every single Batman movie, Batman story have to be the Joker? Does it really? Can we please get some love for some of the other DC villains out there? Have a good night, Michael. Yeah, Amir, that happens a lot. Trust me. Trust me, I know that feeling, man. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, for Cinematic Galaxy, that's cool, man. What did I study in college? Oddly enough, I studied criminal justice. Yeah, I think if you want to teach kids with special needs, by all means, I go for it. Honestly, I do, but you got to have it right here in the heart. If you don't have it in the heart, if you don't have it here, you're just going to get burnt out really quick with it, and you're not going to stick around with it. And it happens. You know, it's not for everybody. And the pay isn't, like I said, the pay isn't exactly the greatest thing in the world. Your younger, Billy Bob, my younger cousin I watch has autism. What are some good occupational therapy tips you know how to do when they get into their tics? Without knowing your cousin, I really can't recommend anything. I'm the type of person that I have to sit down with the student and I actually have to interact with them. Your sister's going for criminal justice. I wish her all the luck, honestly. Do I have a pitch for a Daredevil book? I actually do have a pitch for a Daredevil book. I'm not going to reveal it here, mainly because of the fact that maybe one day I'd like to write some comics. I actually also have a really great pitch for Ghost Rider, but again, not going to reveal it here. My favorite volume of Preacher, Volume 2, where you see Jesse's origin. Volume 2 and The War in the Sun are my favorite volumes of Preacher. And you know what? I just like Preacher. Honestly, I love everything involving Preacher. The Batman Nightfall Omnibus. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Batman Nightfall Omnibus. I think that's going to be really fun. I heard that they're splitting it up weird, though. At least from what's been solicited so far, like how they're doing it is a bit different than what the trade paperbacks were, and a lot of fans weren't that pleased with it. I haven't looked at what's exactly going to be in that omnibus, but I'm looking forward to it. If I had to pull a Jeff Johns and revive a superhero on the fly, who do I think could pull it off? I gotta think about that. Give me a sec. I'll think about that. Rob Reed and H. Style. Huh. I had to revive a superhero on the fly. Man, I don't know. Did I watch the first season of Preacher? Yes. I hate what DC did. That was one of the few things that I didn't like about Scott Snyder's run on his Batman run, was the reinterpretation of the Mr. Freeze origin. Was not too crazy about that. Am I still reading Black Science? Yes. Who would I cast for Doctor Doom in the MCU? Ooh, good question. Who would I cast for Doctor Doom? All right, guys. I'm going to be on for probably another 10 minutes. I'm going on an hour and a half straight on this right now. Who would I cast for Doctor Doom in the MCU? That's something that I'd also have to think about. I can't just off the top of my head. Man. David, you're late, man. But I'm going to be on for like another 10 minutes. Just giving you a heads up. I would love to see Jeff Johns go write his story one day. I would too. I like to. If you ever get a chance, listen to Jeff Johns' interview on Fat Man on Batman. He's got an absolutely interesting story about his life and everything like that. Really, really great stuff. How he was actually a an assistant to Richard Donner, and his story is absolutely great. Thanks, Shinji. Yeah, I really do like my day job. Blue Beetle or Blue Marvel? Blue Beetle. Come on. Second best Swamp Thing run. Brian K. Vaughan's got a great Swamp Thing run. If you've never read it, really, you should check that out. So Harold, you're saying I should stick with I Am a Hero because, like I said, man, I read the first omnibus of I Am a Hero and I could barely slog through it. Although everybody keeps telling me the same thing. Keep reading I Am a Hero. Keep reading it because it gets so just out there and crazy that you'll absolutely love it. You know, Joe Manganiello as the Joker, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. Very jacked dude. You know, he probably had to slim down a little bit, but not a bad choice for the Joker, man. Anything else, guys? I've got about 7 more minutes before I gotta go. I already answered it today. Favorite TV series of all time is Breaking Bad. Have a good night, Helio. Wow, you were up late, man. My opinion of Charles Soule's Daredevil. I haven't read it yet. I've heard great things, though. Who are the greatest Batman writers of our generation? Miller, Snyder, Denman. Okay. Miller, Snyder, Morrison, and O'Neill. Great picks. Yeah, I would actually agree with all of those. King is, I'm telling you, King's going to be one of those guys that's going to be added onto it. What are my thoughts on Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina? Look, in this overly political world right now, especially with the elections and everything like that, I think Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina is fantastic. Now, if you want to read something that absolutely just slams the political spectrum right now and is incredibly, incredibly dead on with what's going on right now in politics with Donald Trump, with Hillary Clinton, with all this mess that's going on right now, read Transmetropolitan. Transmetropolitan is as relevant today as it was as the day it was printed, and even then some. It is scary how well Transmetropolitan fits in our modern day world and how well that Warren Ellis is able to capture the feel of the time period and what's going to happen in the future. Transmetropolitan is fantastic, man. Transmetropolitan is some scary stuff, and it's scary how much the Smiler is a representation of Donald Trump, especially with what's going on right now. I'm not going to get into politics. I really am not. I hate this topic. But the fact is that if you read Transmetropolitan, I urge you to go pick that up and then watch what Donald Trump is doing. It is the exact same thing that the Smiler is doing in Transmetropolitan, and it is absolutely terrifying. First DC book that I read, man. Oh, I don't know. Which comic book character is most like Trump? I just answered that. It's got to be the Smiler from Transmetropolitan. Yeah, I'm not going to get into politics. Don't worry. I'm not. Oh, absolutely. Ellis nailed the Transmetropolitan goes in the same vein for me as Preacher, where they absolutely stick the ending and they could not have done the ending any better. Is the absolute Transmetropolitan worth it? I think so. I think it is very, very nice put together production and very nice oversized hardcover. Really, really great stuff. All right, guys, 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. This video is going on long enough as it is. Have I read Tales from the Dark Side by Joe Hill? I have not. The comic book that made me love comics was Walking Dead. I've said this before. Walking Dead was a comic book that really introduced me right back into comics when I had lost steam for it and I lost all interest for it for a couple of years. My favorite YouTube channels that aren't comic book channels, Double Toasted. Man, Double Toasted is so much fun. I've been following those guys since the Spill days, since the Real Deal days. If you haven't checked out Double Toasted, some of their stuff is just absolutely hilarious. I recommend you guys do check it out. Oh my gosh, they crack me up all the time. I love those guys. I love Rage Select. I love, who else do I follow on YouTube? Boogie2988. I really follow his stuff. I like his stuff a lot. Who else am I been following lately? And I'm trying to think who else that's not comic book related. Those are really the big channels that I follow. Of course, Giant Bomb. Everybody follows Giant Bomb. What would you consider Jeff Johns' biggest flop? New 52 Green Lantern. I wasn't crazy about that, but then again, you know, it's pretty good, but it didn't stick the landing as well as I had hoped. All right, guys, I'm about to end this in a few seconds. So let's see. Best work of Warren Ellis, Transmetropolitan. Do I browse 4chan? No, I don't, actually. I've never even been on 4chan, oddly enough. I know, I'm old. All right, guys, I'm going to end this right here. Yeah, same time next week on Thursday. I know a lot of you guys are wondering if I'm going to be doing a Sunday stream. I don't know yet. I really don't know if I'm going to be doing a Sunday stream at all yet, mainly because it depends on what I'm doing Sunday. So I'm going to wish you guys all a great night. Thank you for watching. This video has been long. I've gone on for probably almost an hour and a half. So for those of you guys that came to the chat, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to be doing this on a weekly basis. Love you guys. Thanks for checking out my videos. And for those of you that want to know what I'm reviewing tomorrow, it's going to be the Hellboy Library Editions. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.